What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for finding the YouTube channel. My name's RJ, and you found a great one. We've been through these so many months already, and they just keep getting better and better. We got to sit down with Waltmillsy, and this is the interview that you want to talk about. Was fun to listen to and fun to be a part of. I've listened to it a couple times just to make sure the video is great, and I still smile every time I'm listening to it. Walt goes into a lot of really cool things. Just like behind me, he's from Australia. He has a collection of great figures always behind him while he's streaming, which is the Marvel, which is a bunch of other characters, which is awesome. He's a huge fan of Transformers, and he was in the Royal Navy. So the stories to tell are in this interview, and it was so much fun to sit there. So we're gonna keep this intro short, but the only thing I'm gonna say is the only thing you're gonna see, a couple things, is you're gonna see Stream Raiders in the bottom. It was very sad to see Stream Raiders go on March 31st. And this was the last interview that we were able to do Stream Raiders while we were interviewing. So thank you so much for Stream Raiders to do what they did. CaptainTV did a great job for so many years. It just wasn't in the cards to keep going. So we made a partner through them. We had great designing skins, and Walt had some great skins with Stream Raiders as well. But for some reason, they decided to shut the doors, and we had to move on. So we've done a lot of really cool things outside of these interviews that we've done live. So come visit me over on twitch.tv/liquidmusicent, or go check out Waltmillsy on twitch.tv/Waltmillsy, because he's going for partner and he's going to get it very soon. So go help him out and go check him out. We're going to join 30 seconds into this video, and hope you enjoy this one, because this one is a great one. It has some great stories. So let's head over to Waltmillsy and our interview that we filmed in March 22nd. It was so good. So have a good one. We'll see you later, and enjoy. Peace. Welcome on, gamers, music lovers, sports users all around the galaxy, and if you're a Padawan at least 18 years of age, this might be the right stream for you. Who knows? We'll see as we go, because this is going to be freaking great. Allie, thank you so much for the stream streak. You are fantastic. Oh my goodness, we have a great one for you tonight, and I cannot wait to get Walt in here. But first, let's go ahead and do some a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit, so you understand what's going on in the next week or so. Tonight we're gonna sit down with Waltmillsy, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Tomorrow night, a little bit of Fortnite with J Crew, with a little bit of Miss Night Angel X, and anybody else that wants to join us as well. We'll be doing that tomorrow night, so we need a fourth, or if we have way more people, we can do some other things in Fortnite as well. On the 24th, if you know these sit-down interviews, we sit down and do these every single month. So the one that we're recording right now will show next month on the YouTube channel. Last month we sat down with Butterfly Garden Gaming, and that comes out tomorrow at 5 p.m. on the YouTube channel. So if you want to sit down and re-catch up, or if you missed it, you can check on the YouTube channel at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. It'll release with Butterfly Garden Gaming. On Thursday night, we'll be playing some Jackbox Naughty Pack, and to end the month, a little sadness on this end of this month, but at the end of this month, one of our favorite games that's right down there, Stream Raiders, will be sunsetting. We'll be going live around 11 p.m. Oh, yo, Stormy!
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name.
I was just hanging out with her in her stream right before I came in. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much.
Where you can see our troubles are all the same.
If you're not following Stormy,
You
go
wanna
ahead.
be where everybody knows your name.
Y'all are fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. We're just going through some housekeeping before we bring Walt in. And on, like I said, the 31st, we'll be going live at 11 p.m. For like 3-4 hours, give or take. We're going to be live until the servers shut down, and then we'll merge into April 1st, and we got a new thing happening on April 1st, which we're not divulging at this time. But we're going to be starting something really cool. And then April 1st, that night, we'll be getting back into our Astrobot playthrough, which is a super fun game. And some of y'all were here when we were starting it, and it was so much fun. Reminiscent of all the PlayStation hidden Easter eggs in the game, which is super cool because I'm a huge PlayStation fan. So that's how the month will go. Got to do after. No, you're good, Stormy. Thank you so much for the raid, and thank you so much for coming in, and I truly appreciate it. So here's what we do. I try to write a good intro. I'm like I said, every time I do these, I'm a big fan of like Tonight Show and all those kind of shows. So I try to do a really good intro as much as I can, and I try to read it well so I don't screw up. What's up, Lils? How you doing? So let's get through this real quick here, and then we'll bring Walt on, and we'll talk about a few awesome things. But Walt is a Twitch streamer and a longtime Captain TV leader, having spent a few years commanding the battlefield in Stream Raiders. But the game coming to an end. What's next for his channel, we'll find out here in just a little bit. Beyond the screen, Waltmillsy love for collecting is legendary. From Transformers to Warhammer and Marvel, he's got a treasure trove of action figures and models you'll see right behind him here in a little bit. And when he's not streaming or battling in the Marvel Strike Force, you'll find him meticulously painting Star Wars Legion miniatures, proving that patience is a true Jedi
Liquid
skill.
168 Grogu snacks. Liquid 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 168 Grogu snacks.
Hey, there it is. My God, that went on for a while. Yeah. Thank you for the quick nap there. I appreciate it. But there's more to Waltmillsy than just gaming and collecting. He's a former Navy chief chef, having cooked for a few crew during the Second Gulf War, even spending the nights on the USS Nimitz, if I said that right, I think I did. He's traveled the world from Asia to India, the Midwest, Guam, and Hawaii, picking up the incredible stories and maybe a few secret recipes along the way. So tonight, we'll talk about his life in Australia, his military experiences, get to know him a little bit more, and what the future holds for his future content. Plus, we'll put him through some rapid fire questions in our lightning round at the end. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on Walt. Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hello.
Hey, good to see you. I think the chat is already ready for you. Like they were like, they were going.
you were a top hype man. You pumped me right up.
I tried to do my best.
It didn't even sound like Chat GPT at all.
No. I actually I pull a little bit. I'll be honest with you. I use it to get the baseline, and then I add my own stuff in there to make sure that it's. Doesn't sound like a robot.
No, it's my just quickly off track, probably happened a bit, but my daughter did a school play, but what happens is her class got taken to the Sydney Opera House, which is that big white funny looking building near our bridge, which you've probably seen. And these theatre students or directors, they did a play with the kids in high school with ChatGPT, and they did up these stories. It was so cool.
Brother, thank you so much for the raid. For just 1 second. Seriously, y'all coming in hot with Walt. Oh my God.
Holy! Welcome in, Raiders.
What's up? Brother, good to see you, by the way. Glad to see you back to streaming back home after all your trips. I keep up on my streamers. I swear I do. All right, go ahead. Sorry. So school, Chat GPT.
Yeah, they basically did a theatre production with Chat GPT. It was like Romeo and Juliet, but there was like different versions with ChatGPT. So they'll be like, oh, what does Romeo and Juliet look like, in a typical Australian high school? And then there was another version, so they were just doing different versions of it. And it was so well done.
Oh my gosh, I like that.
And yeah,
those kind of things in those changes to like your normal thing. Like say, like there's so many people out there that go, okay, I know what Romeo and Juliet is. I want to go and watch the same play I've seen. Probably, you're about the same age as I am. Probably have seen it a number of times, and then going to there and then seeing all the renditions and changes. I like that. That makes it entertaining to me, to be honest. It's like Wicked. How many times 100%. Have I seen Wicked in concert? Enough. But, if they changed it up a little bit and I walked in and they changed something, I'm like, I don't know if I'd be like, oh my God, they changed that? Or I'd be like, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So before we get started, I know I say this to everybody that we do interviews with, co-hosts with, all that kind of stuff. We do share some of the questions with the folks, so we know what we're talking about, the topics. We kind of have this discussion. But before we get started, we asked some of the questions to get to know you. Do you want to introduce yourself? Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? And by the way, you might be, and I've been doing this for almost a year now. I think April or May might be my year of sitting down actually doing this format. You might be the first one that's actually streaming at the same time. So go drop a follow because he's streaming right now. I love it.
It's kind of just still up at the moment. It was a bit of a unplanned one. Took an opportunity that I had, but yeah. G'day everyone, Waltmillsy. Probably just popped in, but yeah. Yeah, who am I? So yeah, I'm what am I, 42 this year? Yeah, 83 baby. Married with 2 kids, and then I got some pets, but I'll leave that case. That may or may not be a question later. Yeah, so I'm actually still active serving in the military. So yeah, balancing that and family life and hobbies is always a challenge. Balance is the big one. But yeah, I like all the pop culture-y things, like a lot of your skins that you had in Stream Raiders and a lot of stuff on your stream. And I think I was on Red Spectres the other night, and he had like an ad for Dino Rider figures, and I was like, oh, the nostalgia was so.
That does go back a little bit. I was wondering if you'd pick up the Thundercats song that I always start my stream with. I mean, I found it on YouTube, and I actually asked the guy who produced it through his chat, and then I DM'd him and said, hey, I'm a huge Thundercats fan. You did a really great job. Would you mind if I use this on stream? Because with copyrights and all that kind of stuff, I just need your permission. And that was that. He's like, somebody wants to use my work for something? Yeah, of course. I'm like, I could pay you like $20 or something like that if you want me to, but I just want to offer that. And he's like, no, seriously, go ahead and use it. As long as my name is in the info page, which it is. It's super awesome. He does some great stuff. There's a He-Man one that he does. You go look him up. It's freaking awesome. He's a nostalgia baby like us. Like, he loves it.
Oh, it's dangerous. I look around my room, and there's just like half finished projects, and there's Transformers still in boxes and unpainted miniatures, and yeah, the time. Anyway,
how I guess looking at the figures behind you, have you ever worried about like, we're gonna move into a different house or a different place, or like I might look for a new house or something like that, or like you're like, how am I gonna move all this stuff, and how would I redo the room? Would you do it the same way, or would you do it differently?
So about just over 3 years ago, we're in our own home, big house, and had to move for work, which wasn't on our like sort of plan. We were sort of, we've got this nice big house, we're settled, and then we're now in an apartment. And before that, all these cabinets were filled with Star Wars Lego. And now they're in boxes, and I've got other stuff going on. So yeah, definitely don't have the space that we want. But future, when I settle back in a house, I've got big plans for the room. Which especially what my kids are in the last years of high school. So when they eventually move out in the next 10, 20 years because of inflation. Yeah, when I got more room to have hobby, it's gonna be hobby rooms. My wife loves cats, so there'll be just cat stuff everywhere. And she collects all different pops and little knickknacks. She loves Aristocats.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, little Marie, is it? Yeah. But yeah, yeah. Some people's man caves, hobby caves are just crazy, especially like from Transformers to He-Man to all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to a collector expo, also a local one. There was a lot of records, and then there was a lot of figures from the 80s. Yeah, there was He-Man, Dino Riders, all that. It was just like bringing back nostalgia and all the stuff that when I moved out of home, my mum probably sold at a garage sale for.
No.
I think that's probably worth 20 times that amount now.
Yeah, way more than what it was sold for sure. That's how it usually works.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, you were saying that you moved from like house to apartment and stuff like that. Like, I guess like my first question, like, how did you get started streaming, and then how did you get into like Stream Raiders? Because we're going to talk about that a little bit because it's coming to an end, but then we're not going to hit it too hard because we want to talk about him personally and all that stuff. But I just want to like get your feel on that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. So where are we at? I think I'm coming up. We're coming up to my 4-year stream anniversary in June. 4 or 5? I think it's 4. The reason, before I started, I guess my account's probably like 7 years old or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
My son was playing Fortnite when it sort of started. Okay, so he was a bit young, and I was like, I think he was 9 or something, and I was like, "Oh, what's this game about?" I wanted to just make sure it's all safe, online, all that. Played a bit of Fortnite, and I ended up getting hooked on the Save the World version, which I think that's what they were planning at the start until the Battle Royale took off.
Yeah.
And I was playing one day. I think I was off work, and I was playing one day, and I was doing this game mode where you join up with randoms, and sometimes they may have voice on. Anyway, I jump in this party, and we're doing this like little defending this base for this event, and there's some girl goes, "Oh, I hope you don't mind, you coming through Twitch?" And I'm like, "What's Twitch?" And she was like, "Oh, it's streaming." And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." She sent me a link, and so I went and had a look, and I was like, "Oh wow." And she goes, "Yeah, you're coming through the audio." I'm like, "Yeah, no worries." So yeah, watched her, and still follow her now. She streams. She is Australian, but she now married a guy in the States and's over there somewhere. And it's like, yeah, go and say hi sometimes. She goes, "Oh yeah, I met Walt playing this," and it's like, pretty crazy. But so I watched it, and then didn't really continue on, and then the kids were sort of getting to that age, and I'm like, oh, they might want to do, I think it was probably just after COVID, and I'm like, they might want to do this one day. I'm going to see what it's all about so I can support them and, protect them as well. So started doing it. But I guess just to go back quickly, my first thing about streaming was, why would I watch someone else play games and I can just play games myself? But I had that question, and then I'm definitely, I guess, in terms of opinions, I like to understand the other point of view and whatnot. So definitely get it now. Definitely get the connections you can have. Just knowing people with, so I guess social difficulties, like whether it's autism, Asperger's, or whatever, or just general anxiety. It just by having that barrier, opens them up to be able to express themselves and communicate a lot more. And the fact that you can meet people around the world, like that without streaming, would be a very slim chance that you and I would ever meet, unless there's a bit of an expensive trip one way or the other,
or on a military trip and we're playing Call of Duty or Fortnite together or something like that. But yeah, because I mean that does go a long ways when we're deployed and stuff like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've traveled a lot and had a lot of opportunities meeting people from around the world, but I think you know, there's a lot of people out there that can't have those opportunities. So yeah,
Right.
this is a quite more reasonable way to do that.
So coming up in 4 years, within those 4 years, obviously you found Stream Raiders before, you know, obviously before it sunsets at the end of the month. How did you decide that was something for you that you like to do and you kept continuing to do it?
Yeah, so when I started, I was just you know, just looking at streams and seeing what's out there, and I can't remember his name, but it was an older guy. He had like aquariums in the background, and I must have unfollowed him or something back in the day because I was one of those people that just like to have the list of the key people, and so learning about, you know, the art of, you know, following and supporting and whatnot. But yeah, so yeah, and he used to do some music, and he had this Stream Raiders battle, and I'm like, that is cool. And then I was like, oh, you know, what do you need to do to be a captain? So then when I got affiliate, and then I got the 100 followers to be a captain, it was like straight into it. I thought it was so good. I think I joined Stream Raiders or as a captain, I think probably just at the end of the good times, I would say. Like there was, you know, back when the versus mode, they had giveaways for people.
Oh yeah.
You know, finishing at a certain area. You'd go in, and that's how I met a lot of people. I think potentially, you know, maybe even yourself, Ali, Butterfly Garden Gaming, King Jerry, like all the, you know, because you'd pop in to their stream and say, hey, good luck on the battle, you know,
Yeah.
and then you would follow each other and, you know, touch in. So I think that was pretty cool.
I think I met most of my captains through versus mode. I think that's possibly more true than I'm willing to admit, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think at the same time, Stream Pirates was coming out, and I think I was playing Sea of Thieves at the time, so I was like, oh, pirates and, you know, Stream Raiders. It's kind of, you know, what I like. But yeah, I think that was the beginning of the end. I think, when you look back and see the history and the whatnot. So yeah, unfortunately, you know, I think the financial gain that a lot of people got from Stream Raiders was awesome, but yeah, it ultimately wasn't, I guess, that profitable for a business sense, you know, when so much of your profits are going to the streamers. So yeah. I won't get into too many details about my thoughts about why it ended, but I definitely think that they peaked really high, and they thought the peak was going to stay great, and they didn't prep just in case if they lost, you know, if it went down, and because they like went so fast and so hard, they lost a lot toward the end. But I'll get into that a little bit. But no, and you had some great skins as well, and you do have some great skins. Let me say do, because it's not over yet. But like, what inspired those skins? Because obviously you've mentioned like most of mine are from 80s and 90s cartoons. What were yours based off of? So initially I did the Transformers Beast Wars ones, and you know, and then the challenge of fighting the copyright rules, which was always hard because there was stuff out there that was like bang on that, and it's like, you know, because you're up front and, you know, you might use reference material, but yeah, trying to, even though it's like pixelated and it's very, very hard to tell. But yeah, the first round of 5 skins was Beast Wars, Transformers inspired. The second round was like me in like a version of a character. So I think there was me as Red Guardian, because I was doing that as a cosplay for the Marvel Strike Force, which I'm back into now. Me as Gambit, so I'm in a trench coat with the cards as the bomber. And then I think I did me as Birdman from Rick and Morty.
Wow.
And then there was me as a Phantom of the Walpra Phantom of the Opera.
Love it.
And the artillery, just a little army guy with an artillery cannon, which I think there was a few of them getting around that people had the same idea. But and then my last lot before it stopped was going to be all community based. So one of my mods from Australia, like met him through the streaming, and then met him in person. He designed one. It was like a berserker koala bear. It's all cute and cuddly, and then when it attacks, it goes red eyes and starts clawing.
That's
so
awesome.
and then I think I had probably the last Skinnathon before they announced the sunset. So unfortunately, we got the flag out, but we weren't able to get out the full skin. But Rainbow Bunny Booty, jumps around everyone's stream. But I wanted to do like a bunny rabbit with a rainbow shooting out of its butt, or something that symbolized that. And then other people who weren't captains who could actually have their own skin in the game. But yeah, unfortunately, that finished up.
That's hilarious. Was it something that you've had behind you that you turn around and kind of like, oh, that'd be kind of cool, or did you already have like a notebook of like, oh, this would be a cool idea, this would be a cool idea?
I think because I saw what's his name? Juice's TV.
Juice's, yeah.
He had some really good Transformers and He-Man and G.I. Joe and all that. So I think I saw
before the copyright era.
yes.
All hands were,
so I saw them.
Yeah.
I saw them and I was like, oh, I like that. So I went the Beast Wars route. And then it's always hard because you want a skin that you like, but then you also got to think of the purpose of it is for other people too. So you're trying to take in, what's your community interested in, what would other people like.
If it's sellable,
the Skinnathons
kind of
aspects and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, you still want something that resonates with you. I think that was what I mainly went with.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I got a huge, because I was a variety streamer. I don't think I ever had like a huge part of my community that were right into Stream Raiders. There was definitely a lot of people who supported through and place and stuff, but no, I wouldn't say I was like a diehard Stream Raider community. It was more just people helping me out, and most of my sort of sales were during the Skinnathons, which I really loved. That was a good way to collaborate with other people and meet new people, and some of the staple supporters like I can't even think of DeWop and who's the other regular, like they would always I'd be curious to see how many skins they actually got over the years, because they were always the ones there supporting all the Skinnathons.
Yeah, because I don't remember, like they did give a recap of everything, but I don't think that they said how many total skins you have unlocked. You'd have to obviously look that up yourself. That would have been kind of cool. And like put a date next to them, like, oh, you unlocked this one at this time. Like the hub, I actually had that at one time where you unlock the skin, you're like, oh, you have this, but then by the time you go back and look at it like a year later or whatever, it never said. Nan Beast, yep, that's the other one.
Yep.
So I guess my question before we ask what's next and all that kind of stuff, would you be able to, when you look at it, would you be able to pick a favorite, or would you be like, oh, they're all great, just leave it alone kind of thing?
Favorite skin that I had?
Yeah.
There's a lot that I liked. I think it's easy to say there's probably only one that I wasn't really happy with, but with the whole copyright challenge, it was pretty difficult. I don't know. I think I do like the little Walt Guardian one, but I really liked some of the early ones because of the Beast Wars. I know everyone liked the fairy, which was like this robotic eagle. She's behind me somewhere. And then I was able to do a variation of that because, as you know, with Hasbro, you know, there's a lot of same toy just recolored and renamed. It's the same model, so I was able to use that with. I had Cheetor, which was a tiger, and then when I recolored it, I made it white and black, and then that was Tigertron, which is another one.
Cool.
So I got two characters for the same. You know, if you were doing Starscream, you could do 800 different Seekers because they're all just different colors. But yeah,
I guess
that was pretty cool.
I mean, knowing the skins and knowing what do you have a plan for them after like Stream Raiders? Because they now are owned by us now. Once they get sunset.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan for them?
So I've got a couple. So I've got the Gambit looking one and the Red Guardian one up on my stream for the Marvel Strike Force because that marries up. And then the last flag I did was a stream team that I'm in, the Stag Illuminati. So it's got that icon on a flag. So I've got that up on the stream as well.
Oh, that's cool.
I guess, you know, there's someone in the background
creating
working on a similar game, whether they can be incorporated into it later. I don't know if I'm in the position where I don't think I'm going to get too invested and involved. I'm just going to see how it goes. Keep an eye from afar. It's like, I don't know, still a bit hurt, I think, about the whole process.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I'm like, it's like, love for it to continue, but then, also it's like, that was a good thing, and kind of close that chapter and move on. So I don't know, we'll see.
I always
never say
wish
never.
I had the talent, like, back in the day when they used to like be really like into like their events and things like that. They used to have those like intro videos when they did the dev streams, and I would love to like, if I had the money, I'm like, obviously, because I'm not that talented, but I would love to get some type of storyline, like a comic book kind of thing, and have them put together like some type of like short story with the skins as like a video. So when you like go to the bathroom or something like that, that storyline video would play or something like that, and all of them would move and do whatever. Yeah, like tell a story with voiceovers and stuff. It'd be super cool if we could be able to do something like that. That'd be awesome.
Like that one Garfield had was the Undertaker.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I reached out to that guy, and the amount of money they cost, I'm like, I can't justify that.
Oh, I cannot believe. Yeah. I mean, they did a great job, but I was like, no, yeah, that's too much.
Yeah.
So before we jump into the topics that are above us, a few other things I want to get to. Since you've been streaming for a while, is there a specific stream that you remember? Because I mean, when I look back at streaming, I can like pinpoint specific streams that mean a lot to me, and like, hey, I got started. This is what happened. Blah blah blah. Is there anything that stands out to you that if someone's getting started to streaming, you could give them either advice, or you could say, okay, this was a really cool stream that I remember. So like a story you would tell somebody about streaming?
Oh yeah. I think, yeah, so me and my brother, we started like a a podcast a while back, and he's thinking about starting it back up again. But one of our streams was about starting out streaming and whatnot, and I did say I still believe in when you're starting. I think the reason some people, like you see when new streamers start, everyone's got a different reason why they do it. Some are, might be in a bad financial situation and they're going straight for that. My sort of take is, just enjoy it. Like if you put so much, I believe you put so much pressure on it being successful,
Oh yeah.
just be yourself and have fun with it, and then that'll potentially come. So growing a community, I would say to, I would probably say to stick at a one community and try and build that. That's a hard one, because as a variety, it's good that you do get to mix it out. Now I guess you can almost you can work out where you want to sort of sit.
Yeah.
But then you might have someone who likes you as a streamer, but they don't like that content that you're doing, so you may lose them. Time zone's another one. I think I've lucked in at my time zone, because when I start, a lot of people in the States or Canada are going to bed.
Yeah, it depends on what. Yeah.
So I know. Yeah, I think I used to get a lot of raids from you at one point before that crazy redhead came onto the scene.
I still make sure we get a raid to you as well.
Oh yeah, I know. No, but no, it was good. So because I think I definitely was like dipping out. Like I wasn't always on Stream Raiders. I think I eased off, and it was good that Nick came around as another Aussie. It's like whenever I saw an Aussie doing Stream Raiders, I was like, oh hey, what's going on? Because it wasn't many of us. There was Angel obviously, but she pretty much streamed during the day. So she was almost on that US Canadian sort of time frame.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like one of the biggest advice I was told when I first started, and I always tell everybody else, and I have to preface this a little bit after I tell people that, it's like, don't ever buy brand new shit, and don't spend a shit ton of money getting started, because you can get by with a regular mic, you can get ready with a basic computer, you can stream all that kind of stuff. Like when you see people like me that has like a mic like this, and people are like, well, you started with a mic like that. Yeah, but I was also a DJ when I was 15 and eventually paid for this to DJ with. And then when I started streaming, I just brought stuff with me. And then 90% of my stuff that's in my studio that's here that looks elaborate is either used Facebook Marketplace or on sale Black Friday or something like that, where I've saved a ton of money on something. I don't think I've ever paid full price for anything that's in the studio, except for maybe building the studio, but that's a different story. But
and that wasn't day one stream as well. Like that studio came later on.
This came in 2024, and I started in 2020. So I went to 2 houses and 5 different renditions of me parked in the middle of a living room and no corner, and all this kind of stuff. So things happen, and most of my Yoda stuff that's on the wall over here have been a collection since I was like tiny. So that kind of things. But yeah, I would say that I would love to go back and listen to that podcast, because like getting people started is the hardest. The balance of the stress, I think that you said, is the hardest one. Like thinking that you're not enough, you're doing all this work, and you're seeing somebody that's and I don't want to take any credit off of anybody, but when you're sitting back and you feel like you're doing all this work, and you see somebody that's half-assing it, or whatever, or however you want to view it, and then you see like them getting a ton more viewers than you are, you that puts a lot of weight on your back. And you say, just don't get jealous, don't worry about it, do your own thing, things will find you. And then a good transition to that is when you said that find your niche and find something that you like to stay with a little bit, and that's you right now with Marvel Strike Force. What obviously being a Marvel fan, what decided you to go, this is the game I want to stick with and stay with and do?
Yeah. So it's a mobile game that I use an emulator to play. And it's a different game because, you see a lot of people streaming it because it is one of the sponsorship offers that Stream Elements has, and then have just partnered up with Twitch. So there's probably most of our circle within the Stream Raiders has probably done a sponsorship for it. I know when Alleging Tuna did it, he's like, oh, Walt actually plays this game, so we'll talk to him about it and whatnot. So it was good to be able to lean back. And I think there was another game, just off topic real quick, when Embervale started, I met a lot of people in Australia who were big on the PCG, the Pokemon community game, for battling and stuff, and that same people made that Embervale. And then when Stream Raiders did Embervale, it was like, well, now I've got people that know Embervale, but it just didn't, that game, I probably could have done well with viewership on that, but I didn't feel like I wanted to do that. It just felt like there was, I don't know, it just didn't feel like I wanted to pursue that. So
was it like a game that you weren't having fun with, or was it something that you just wasn't your style?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I just didn't really. Yeah, it was. I guess. Yeah, I just didn't really.
Because if you're playing a game that you're not having fun with and you're just doing it to drive, people will pick up on that. So I mean, obviously.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, the fantasy. But but yeah, so it was like, because I had Immerbock started playing it, and he was like, "Oh, I know Walt from Stream Raiders," and all the Stream Raider people knew
Yeah.
me playing that. So it was like, it was something that I could have jumped onto, but like you said, you know, if your heart's not in it, then yeah, people pick up on that. I never want to be someone who's just chasing stuff for the views, even though it seems like with Strike Force. But I was already established with that,
Yeah.
and it was coincidentally, it fell like when this picked up happened when Stream Raiders dropped off, because my intention was to last year was to get right into Stream Raiders, or the end of last, whenever it was. But then obviously we know,
Yeah.
you could start seeing the writing on the wall and whatnot. So it was like, oh, don't want to get too invested.
Yeah.
I know we don't want to get into it, but I do want to say, one of my moments was I think it was in the Captain TV partner or affiliate chat, and I think you were driving, like, you know, all this stuff, but you basically was asking, you know, not going to invest all this time if you're not behind it, and you know, it wasn't really stated, but you could tell from that, you know, all the stuff that was suggested was kind of shut down, for lack of a better word. But
Yeah.
that's what I knew. Okay, well, you know, everyone's behind it, but if they've got no intentions, and we understand there's reasons why you can't disclose everything and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
and sometimes the lack of answering a question answers the question.
yes,
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I was asking stuff, do this, and there was like no comments whatsoever. I'm like, yep, that explains so much. Yep.
Yep.
I mean, we'll get some answers next month. I have a secret guest coming up next month that will hopefully enlighten some of this stuff.
Secret guest.
Yeah. I offline, I can tell you, but yeah, it'll be a really cool conversation based on what we're talking about now. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Just back to, I guess, the streaming stuff.
Yeah.
The most joyful thing that I get is, like, I don't see myself, you know, as a big streamer or anything, but you know, those people that are starting out, like my son, he you know, he's in that teenage year where he likes to just do his own thing, and it's like, oh, do you want to play a game? And he's like, oh no, I'm alright. But anyway, he came in and goes he followed my stream, and I was like, I went to him and said, is that you that just followed? And he, on another account, and he's like, yeah. He's like, oh, my friends have started streaming, and I'm like, oh, what's their name? I'll raid them. And I think it might have had 40 or 60 people at the time.
Yeah.
And raided this young kid, and he was like so thankful, and just, you know, just that you remember when you first got a raid or a sub or something, and how nice it feels. But then to imagine, like, young, late teens, you know, just starting out. And then him and his mate always come into my stream now and see, you know, how you going. And now they're affiliated, which is cool. It's good to be able to support, and they send me messages and ask questions and that. So be able to sort of help out. I was helped out in the Stream Raiders like affiliate journey with Jerry. He gave me some tips, and then I was being able to pass those on to help people grow.
Oh yeah.
Help people sort of push that affiliate grind and understanding the numbers and all that good stuff.
I still, and to this day, will look at numbers and go, I think I know what I'm talking about. And then I'll talk to like Proto, or I'll talk to somebody else at Game Cow or something like that. And I'll be like, yeah, this is where I'm at. And he's like, no, you're not. like this is what I look at. This is where you're at. I'm like, oh, I understand it now. And then I still don't understand it. so, oh man. Did you ever find yourself when you're doing that? Did you find yourself in that stressful, like, oh, I'm like at 39 of 40 or something like that, and I cannot get that one extra number to get me to that? Did you ever have to go through that, or did you, or how do you explain it to others if you had to go through that, I guess?
I think for me, it's like, I think one of my skills is balancing that viewer versus streamer. Like, you know, you can go to a streamer who doesn't network and they just build their own community and keep it tight. I'm a big believer in, you know, helping everyone out. Like, if you come in and start talking about your stream, I would not care less. I would actually encourage it. And I know not everyone wants to talk about themselves, and I get that also.
Yeah.
So I'm like, send me a whisper and I'll help you.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I would probably get upset with is if someone comes in there and their first comment is, come check out my stream, I'm live right now. And if you said hi first, wouldn't care.
Yeah, a little
hi,
protocol
follow.
first. Yeah, exactly. Buy me dinner first. Come on.
Yeah, everyone's got a different view, but yeah, I'm all about supporting people. You know, when people come in and they go, oh, I can't wait to be a captain in Stream Raiders, it's like, well, what's your numbers at? Let's get your numbers up. And
Yeah.
you know, then you've got I just forgot his name, guy from it's gonna be in this tick, I don't know, he's from the UK, but he's got a few accounts. Rafi P.
Oh yeah, Rafi. Okay.
Pie. Yeah, and I remember he was in the stream, and then he went and followed like 7 times of all these extra accounts, and then this person was able to start jumping in, and I guess we keep going back to it, but that's what I guess I'm upset the most about Stream Raiders is all the people who just found it as it ended.
Right.
Even now, people are like, what? It's ending? Like I've got people in the Strike Force community, and they're like, what's going on? Why is you know stuff, Walt? You're in there. Like, what's happening?
I have this feeling, and if people are doing that to you now, I have this feeling that April 1st will come around, or people come to your stream and they'll be like, okay, how come you're not doing Stream Raiders? And then you have to explain it to them that it doesn't exist anymore. And then it's like you have to almost break their hearts because that's what they want to play, and then it's not there. I totally understand that, and I don't mind going back to it because I mean, obviously, it's a big part of all our community. So even the people that are lurking in channel or hanging out and BSing, I mean, they're all Captain TV, either players or streamers or captains. I totally understand that. I think, I guess the next thing I would probably preface is like, are you just gonna like take it away and just keep doing what you're doing, or are you going to find something in the meanwhile to kind of add to it or add to your stream and what that goes away?
My stream at the moment is pretty much I'm gonna just go back to Marvel Strike Force 100%. I do have like I think you asked the question before, but we got sidetracked. I've been playing the game on and off for 7 years. There's times with mobile games where I'll play this one, and then there was a Transformer one I was playing when I started streaming that I streamed for a bit. Star Wars Galaxy Heroes is similar to the Marvel Strike Force. There's obviously some sort of spectrum thing that I have where high functioning and need to keep doing stuff, you know. I'm playing World of Warcraft with my wife, but that, didn't really be like, I've met some great people in that community, but my community weren't big fans of it. So end of the day, like I don't sort of care what I stream. I used to get to that point where you're talking about before, those numbers where you would have anywhere from 10 to 40 raid here or there, and then one night I remember it's even a couple of years ago, one night there was like 2 viewers for 2 hours, and it was like this feeling, it's like, oh, what have I done? Like, no one's come in. You used to at least someone popping in saying hi or a raid, and then it's just when it doesn't happen, it was like, okay, so this is something you got to sort of be prepared for, because you start obviously questioning what you're doing, like you said before. It can be quite hard. It's like anything, we focus on the negative and we sort of ignore the positive. But when you are in that positive set, you got to realize that it may not always be that way. You may drop off. Like at the moment, one of the reasons why the Strike Force is going really well is because of the drops. And this is the 7th year anniversary this month, so it's 4 weeks of drops. So not too sure how it's going to look afterwards. If all those people that join Twitch just for the drops, are they going to now stay as new viewers? My time slot, there's a couple of American night owls who get up at 1 a.m. But generally it's sort of me. Like the other night when the drops started, I got to 75 viewers without raids, and I was like, oh my god, this has never happened before. It was like crazy. But yeah, a lot of lurkers. But then met a lot of new people as well. And I got to advocate that I've only sort of just returned to the game. Not sort of sure what the metas are and whatnot. But what I don't know, I know where to go to the other streamers to find the informations and their YouTubes and whatnot. So that network piece is my strength, as I was alluding to before. And trying to balance that viewer and streamer piece.
For sure. I have this thing where like I'm such a small streamer that I don't really care about numbers anymore because like I love doing what I do. I mean, I was on the radio for a long time and I loved sitting down and playing music and like DJing and then going to weddings and all that kind of stuff. But then when we got to sit down and we did like a morning show where like there's two of us before morning shows on radio were a thing, just like two people just talking or whatever. And then I left and then our morning shows blew up and, having many people on it or whatever. But I'd love to just sit there and just have a conversation. And then I just figured, I used to do that for a living. Let's go ahead and just do it part-time and have fun. And then obviously something like this popped up and I was like, let's just bring on streamers and let's talk and just in general, just get to know people, get to know their stories and stuff like that. And like, I don't even look at the numbers anymore because I don't really care. And like, I love everybody that comes in, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's more of just, hey, if one person gets something out of it, somebody views the YouTube channel or somebody views the video while we're live, hey, that's awesome. And I never try to hook up with people. I had somebody, and make a super long story short because this should be about you, not me. But like somebody was saying like, oh well, how do you expect someone to come on your channel when you're so small and you don't have viewers? I'm like, it's not about the viewership, it's about the conversation, it's about education. And when this started, it's like, okay, and with you, I've been talking to you for like months about doing this, and it's like, okay, let's find topics that you can talk about, educate other people about, like, hey, if you're thinking about joining the Navy, or like, hey, if you want to know about Australia, or hell, your passion for Marvel characters and collection and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Like, let's talk about that kind of things. And then people are like, oh, cool. Like other people have the same passions that I do and vice versa or whatever. So I love doing those kind of things when it comes down to like streaming and things like that. Just kind of relate to what we're talking about. We've already been kind of sitting here BSing for a little bit. So I do kind of want to get into the topics that are above me here. So before I ask,
sorry, I was about to say before you asked that, I was about to say, you sent it all through. I'm like, oh, is there enough content to talk about? And like, we've been talking for an hour, and we're like barely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you ain't kidding. Yeah, and time will go, and then we'll get through the topics. We'll do the lightning round, and then whatever questions we skip, when the YouTube channel is recording, we'll kind of go back and kind of rehash and kind of like let the folks that are here live. And if you are catching this on the YouTube channel later on in the month of April, you missed it. We're gonna talk a little bit afterwards. But if you want to catch it later on and catch a live stream, what we talk about after the fact, the off stream, the unfiltered stuff, feel free to join us. But living in Australia, have you lived on Australia your entire life?
Yes, I was born in the western side, down south, in a little town called Esperance, and then moved up to sort of just south of the main city of Perth, in a, I guess, just in a suburban neighborhood. Been out to some of the rural areas where, even, you're just driving down a road and a kangaroo jumps out in front of your car.
That isn't a myth. That actually does happen.
It does happen. It does happen. It does happen. Where I lived, there's signs up kangaroo crossing and whatnot, and it's quite common on the longer sort of non-populated roads. There'll be a poor carcass of a kangaroo that's been hit or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're around. We lost the war against them. No one knows. Oh no, that was the emu. That was the emu war, not kangaroo war.
That's awesome.
There's crazy stuff going on.
So are those like and I always joke around with Nick because when we had the interview with her earlier last year or later in 2024, but like what are like random things in Australia that may be uncommon? Obviously, jumping out kangaroos and stuff like that, but what are other stuff that are like maybe like uncommon that may be different than the parts of the world that you've traveled to that people are like, oh yeah, you live in Australia, does this happen? And you're like, no, that doesn't happen, or yeah, this happens, but it's just different than what we live in.
Yeah, I guess it's hard, isn't it? Because it's your normal.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, it is.
It's
For
always
sure.
hard.
Yeah.
But I guess the big thing I've noticed, because I mainly traveled Southeast Asia, like India, sort of, very very privileged, very lucky with the place that we do live in. I would say more the west side and the western half, I guess, of Australia would be more I guess, stereotypical with that Aussie culture and whatnot, where the east side is very multicultural now. There's it's a lot of people from different communities. Like where I live, there's a big Asian influence and Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Which I think's great. There's obviously a lot of places that some people can do it tough, and I almost see Australia as a safe haven, but then there's a lot of other people that get a bit racist and like go back where you come from, whatever. It's like, well, none of us came from here unless we're actually
exactly,
Aboriginals.
Exactly.
And it's same with like you look at any place. It's even the States. You get some people who don't they're like, oh, this is our country. It's like, well, pretty sure your ancestors, unless you're Native American.
So since you've lived there all your life, is there like certain things, like if I was to like travel there and I say, hey, I want to do some touristy stuff, or I want to like visit certain things to get the culture or get the things like, oh, you don't want to miss this while you live there, what would be your advice to give someone like me?
Sorry, what was that question?
Like I'm going to visit Australia for the very first time. Like what?
Oh, okay,
like,
yep.
Like what would you like say? Hey, go do this first, or go see this. Is there something in your area that would be really cool to see, or stuff like that?
I think Darwin, so the top end, like that's where you don't swim in the ocean and rivers and creeks because of crocodiles. I think that's a big draw. There's a lot of tourism up there for that. A lot of backpackers. Very more rural places around there, so that gives you a lot of insight into that.
Mm-hmm.
Sydney's one of the main places to go, but I think just I think what people want is normally that outback rural sort of exposure, and there's a lot of tourism stuff up in the north end for that. But also even like down south, there's a lot of stuff in the country, Victoria, like Travis Fimmel, Ragnar Lothbrok from Vikings. Like, he's actually down there, and there's a new beer out that's it's called the Traveller, which I think is a bit of a play on his name, but also a bit of an Aussie lager. But yeah, just the fact that he's this well-known actor, but then he's just he does little videos. He's in a dinghy delivering the beer out to people, or taking the ute for a drive, and just going out to the local farming town. It's like, it's just like, it's that culture. You go from being this Hollywood actor to then just
chilling
in a pair of thongs and a flannel and a pair of shorts.
I wonder
beer to people.
Yeah, I wonder if there's certain areas where like that's acceptable. Like you could be a famous actor, but you can just walk around a neighborhood and just have fun. Like in the United States, you can't. Like once they figure out who you are, you're swamped with people and stuff. Like it's nice to have a town where you can actually go and not have to be hounded by paparazzi or something like that.
I think for our culture, it's like you're more valued on your character than your status.
Oh, good.
So being a good bloke rather than being a successful person, like you get they get called wankers pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Without doxing yourself, because I don't want to tell people where you actually live and stuff like that, but like what are like places where you would say, oh, I go here all the time, or I like this food, or if you I mean, how do you say that without not saying like
yeah
like, you know what I'm saying, like what's your go-to places that you like in your area that you would recommend people to go? I'll just put it that way so you don't dox yourself.
Well, yeah. So I'm in Sydney, which is one of our largest cities. So
Yeah.
pretty easy not to dox myself there. But
Yeah.
yeah, just the waterfront, the harbour. There's a lot of nightlife, and but yeah, for me, growing up, I've been just a pub with a local band has been my sort of scene. But
I love it.
in terms of there's lots of lovely places to go for walks out in the cliffs of the entry into the river where the city's like founded on. A lot of nice forests and stuff. Like a little bit out, there's Blue Mountains, which is it's probably an hour and a half out of the city, but yeah, very very nice out there. Compared to some of the big cities I've seen or heard of, like when you look at New York and stuff like that, our cities are rather small and not so.
But you were around like
larger.
living in the area for your entire life. I mean, being closer to my age, you were around like 20-ish when the Olympics came to Sydney. How did that affect? Did you have fun with that? Was it too many people? Was it like, I mean,
yeah, I wasn't in Sydney then.
Oh, okay.
Because I've moved around with work and whatnot. But yeah, from what I know, it changed a lot, and I think there's still, we still have one of our football fields where I go and watch football, and it's still, it's out in the old where the Sydney Olympics was. They've turned it into a bit of an entertainment complex, and there's still
cool.
some of the ovals and stuff out there. It's still known as Sydney Olympic Park, and it's been 20 odd years. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
I would talk about Australia for a long time, but like you said earlier, it's more of like what your norm is. It's like when somebody asks me like, "Hey, you live in Omaha, Nebraska. What's cool there?" I'm like, "Here's 3 things that I know. Outside of that, go somewhere else." like these are the things that if you're truly coming here, these are the things. But outside of that, there's so much other places to see, and people forget. And I had to look this up and I don't remember the stat. I looked it up, but like Australia is almost bigger, if not bigger, than the United States itself, like landmass wise. And people forget that. Like, oh, can't you just go see people from here to there? Like, no. From East Coast to West Coast, it's like 16-hour flight. Like, it is huge place. Like, that people forget that. And then when I interview people and they're talking about that, it's like you forget how big Australia is. So, when you travel around, did you find was Sydney your favorite place to be at, or was there other places where you're like, oh man, I would prefer to be here instead?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of places that I like. I think that I find the beauty in anything. Down south, there's some really nice places that aren't as busy, but a lot colder. It's finding that right temperature. I'd rather be. I used to say I'd rather be wet from the rain or, wet from sweat, in the heat. But then like when it's real freezing, it's like, well, I'm not a big fan of that either. So yeah, trying to find the right temperatures. It'd be nice if we could just travel the seasons. But yeah, there's a little island down the bottom. Well, it's not an island, it's one of our states, but Tasmania. It's that little bit down the southeast end. That's really nice down there. Really nice people and whatnot.
And most of Australia does have 4 seasons, correct? Or no? Like only certain areas do, or?
Yeah. So our seasons are, I think, very opposite to yours. So we have a warm Christmas.
Yeah.
But we still associate snow with Christmas for some reason.
It's just common.
I think, just back to what you were saying before about things with Australia. I think, I've been here for 42 years, moved around a bit. I've probably seen, outside of captivity, I've probably seen 5 real snakes. So like we get told, there's so many snakes down here. Yes, there is, but depending on where you live, the likelihood of seeing them is pretty rare. And
those are the common snakes, or those snakes are the ones that you don't want to F with?
I've seen 2 that you don't want to F with, because there's an island that one of our bases are on, and there was 2 snakes there. There was the python and there was the tiger snake. And I remember we used to do these like leadership exercises out in this open area, and we'd go out as the instructors and just make sure it's all good before we do it. Anyway, I'm laying this rope out and I'm walking to this tree, and I see this snake curled up, and I just shit myself, and I'm like, stop there, and I look at it, and I was looking to see if it had stripes. Didn't have stripes. It was just curled up, just chilling.
Yeah.
So then I composed myself, and I'm like, hey guys, there's a snake here, by the way, just letting you know, like, all cool. And then there was another time we went mountain bike riding at the north end of the island, which isn't really inhabited, and there's this little outhouse toilet stop, and there's a tap to wash your hands, and I go to turn the tap, and there's a little baby python wrapped around it, and I was like, yet again. Well, actually,
no, thank you.
No, I think that one was a tiger. Actually, that one was the bad.
I'm jumping
bad
just because
one.
of the story. I wasn't even there.
Yeah. And one of the guys grabbed it, and he's like playing with it. There's some old buggers out there that pick up snakes, and I'm like, what are you doing?
No.
But I think one thing that is common for me, which I think I've asked this question before to someone from the States, but you used to have a lot of attics that, you have all your stuff stored up there. We don't really have a lot of attics, but in our ceiling of our houses, it's just rafters and then the tiled roof.
Yeah. And
there's cobwebs everywhere. So many spiders just, go up there and make it their home. But, unless it's like a Halloween movie, you don't really see like an infestation of spider webs in, that upper section of houses. So,
right.
For me, like opening up your meter box, there's always going to be spider webs. Underneath your plants, there's going to be some redback spiders and whatnot. So I guess the spiders, I don't know. And yet again, there's so many different climates and whatnot in the States. But yeah, I think that's probably a bit, it's more spiders and more frequency of spiders and snakes, I'd say.
Yeah. I was like, Ali was saying, it's like, I've seen spiders. I'm like, no. Yeah, I'm the same way. When we moved into this house, it was like our first week or so in the house, and we ran a bunch of network cable because we were building the studio, and I was gonna run all these hotspot things in the house or whatever, like the discs that give you the Wi-Fi or whatever. Anyway, and I crawled into the attic, and I was like, yeah, it was fine, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I'm running this wire, and I thought the wire was grazing my arm, and I'm sitting there just kind of doing this with the wire, and the next thing I know, I look up, and like you said, shit yourself. I jumped, and the problem is that you forget that the attic is tiny, and I jumped crazy, and it jumped off me, whatever. But I'm in my back of my head bleeding. I've never told that story before, but yeah, it was like you just gonna jump, and you're like, oh god, and it was like just what? Yeah, no, thank you. Like that's how much I'm like snakes and all that stuff. Okay, fine, but just don't crawl on me. Like it's my house. Yeah. If you're in my house, you're gonna die. But if you're outside, I'm gonna leave you alone because you're in nature, all that kind of stuff. But oh my gosh, I love hearing the stories of different people because like you've been military, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. I want to like jump into the next one before that, but like every time you go to a specific place, they tell you about the wildlife and like the big spiders and like the big snakes and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, no, thank you. That's not for me at all. I guess the last one I have for Australia before we move on to everything behind you, because I really want to talk about that before we get too far, is there anything?
Thank you, my friend.
Koala, thank you.
52 months.
52. Let's freaking go. I jumped into his stream last night and did the same thing because we've been following each other since we first got started. So OG, thank you so much, Koala. Thank you seriously so much for 52 months.
That's crazy.
Oh my god. Let's go. The last question I would have is Australia is I guess visiting Australia and getting to see all the things that you guys do and stuff like that. Is there something that's different? I'm going to prelude this with school because you have kids and things like that. It's like ours is like solid school. We have a little small break during Christmas and a huge summer break. Like I've heard that the schooling is different. Like they have like different breaks at different times. Like how do you guys balance that with streaming and balance the family and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. I think with our school breaks they are different because I think they more align with the same season. So ours go from January to December, or sorry, February to December, and there's a big break around Christmas time, being the summer,
Right.
where I think your schooling's done in that financial year where it breaks around June, July, which is the summer as well.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, spring break and all that crazy stuff. But yeah, so they do 1 year in the full year, not split. And then we have primary school, which is I think year 1 to year 6 now, and then high school is year 7 to year 12, and then it's go get a job or go to or TAFE or college, university.
Yeah.
But I think the whole college thing in your culture is very different, and I think that's like the legal drinking age is 18 for us, and it's 21.
Yeah, for us. Yeah.
For your guys, but then because of that, you get your license a lot earlier as well, like at 16, where I think just before you're 18, you can officially get your license. You can start learning and whatnot, but yeah, you don't get it until
Because we could start
later,
doing like driver's ed at like 14. You can get a license at 16. When I was at age, I guess that might have changed recently, but like I could have my license at 16, graduate at 18, and then drink at 21. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
And Nick was telling me that is it just an area or is it Australian wise that vaping is banned?
Yeah, it's vaping's.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
I don't smoke or vape, so I'm not really
in that culture,
all over the
yeah.
rules on it, but yeah.
But I thought that was kind of interesting. I do, but I mean, it'd be weird to be able to say, oh, like drinking, oh, you can't drink unless you get like a prescription. That's just weird. It's just, I wouldn't say weird because I want, I don't want to like undercut it, but I mean, like, it's just kind of,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's an interesting like twist to things that you guys do that we don't either. So that's what I want to make sure to do. All right, so let's transition. I don't really have a great transition from vaping to collecting figures behind you, but I've been pretty good at most of them, but not this one. So being my age and stuff like that, you're obviously you're in the 80s cartoons and things like that. Like, what really made you stand out? The Transformers, and then obviously collecting figures behind you. But like, what attracted Transformers to be your main go-to from the 80s?
Yeah, there's so much in the 80s to look at.
Yeah.
I think Transformers probably stood out from they're a robot and then they're a car or a plane. It's like that was probably mind blown. Even though there was Mask, which was a little bit similar. Mask was like the go between G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Or GoBots.
They obviously GoBots came out just before. Like, I'm sure you've watched that. There's a show on Netflix. I think it's the Toys That Made Us. You've probably seen all them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny about that. Yeah, there's actually there is a it's in there somewhere. There's a actually. Yeah, it's a Transformer.
I do the same thing. I hate to move stuff and then
knock them all over.
Fall. Yeah.
If you're familiar with GoBots, I think that was actually one of the GoBots, and they made it into a Transformer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So they but I think she was a bike then. But yeah, this one's like a.
I'm always curious because like I was a Thundercats, He-Man, Voltron kind of fan, and yeah, G.I. Joe. You have all these other ones, Gem. For the ladies out there like Gem, because I remember that one too. I'm always curious of like how separating them all and going, this is the one that you like, and then collecting and all that kind of stuff. It was just because they transformed, or was there something else, or?
Like I had all different stuff as a kid. Like I had a bit of everything. It wasn't until I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a tough one because I've got a He-Man and a Battle Cat, but then money's always the driving factor. I'm like, well, I want everything, but I can't go crazy.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
you know, I've had so many eBay or collector shop carts full, and then I go back through and rationalize it down to I can't justify this.
I do that all the time too.
Yeah, like I almost got all the Thundercats. The Transformers probably started when my son was born because there was an animated series out, and I just went, "Oh yeah, we'll bond on this." So I bought him pretty much the whole set. They were a bit different to, you know, what we knew, and yeah, we played with them, and there's photos of him holding toys when he's like year and a half. He doesn't even know what they are.
Oh,
But yeah, that was
little...
the Bumblebee, which was a bit different.
That's almost OG Bumblebee.
Yeah, this is it's the animated version. He actually spoke in that one, which was good. And then, you know, the Michael Bay movies
made him
weird.
Yeah, made him
I've been collecting the '86 movie ones.
Oh yeah.
So that's more your OG Bumblebee. But the car form doesn't match.
no. I think it's
that's not the bug.
It's a copyrighted bug. I'm sure.
And then I've got the Bumblebee Lego set still to build up there as well, which if anyone knows Robin with the RO78N, he's been in the Stream Raider community, Dutch. He's actually started doing Lego streams, and we're planning next month we're gonna do a co-stream, and we're both gonna build our Bumblebees together. So
that's
gonna
cool.
Be cool.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Is that in April, you said?
Yeah. I said, well, we're going to do it pretty soon, but with the way I think everything's working at the moment, like, and the viewership with Strike Force, I'm like, I think I always was like, you know, if partner comes, it comes. But now that it's so close, it's like you're in that nervous position where it's like, well, kind of got to, I think this is the best time to just stick with it.
Yeah.
Once you reach that, then you go back to, you know, not caring again.
Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah.
It's just having a balance. Like, I really don't like. There's days where I'm like, oh, I just want to stream this, like a different content, but I'm like, it's probably not the best thing to do at the moment. Because I went to a partner party with a friend when we had PAX last year. All that sort of stuff I think is really good to network and meet other people.
Right. Did you so could you do both? Could you do the Strike Force up top and then still put together stuff on the bottom, or you just want to stick with that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely ways around it. Like at the moment, I've got the stream up and nothing's really happening. I mean,
it's happening big time. Like, I'm looking at the numbers, and you're guys doing freaking fantastic.
Yeah. The drops, that's the main thing. But someone's asked me to do a battle, which
it's you two. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, it's a bit of me, but they're not seeing me or hearing me. I'm plugging your channels. So hopefully they come over here.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I think Transformers, that movie, it's a tearjerker even watching it now. I think the nicheness of it as well. And I was playing another mobile game, and I think when I started buying the figures, when I started streaming, there was a guy from Australia who was doing these Transformers streams, and it was about the game, but also the figures, and he did a giveaway, and I was like, you know what, I might start buying some of these, and that's where I sort of really pushed that hobby. Before that, I was into painting miniatures from, like, I really like painting and art, so the Warhammer and then the Star Wars Legion. I've now got Marvel miniatures that I've painted, so I have done Strike Force streams in the past where I've been painting miniatures and then Strike Forces up as well. So and then every now and then, because I have Transformers tagged on my stream, someone will come in and go, why have you got Transformers tagged? And then I'll take down the green screen. I'll go, because of this. And then
all these.
Bring everything out. It's like, oh, I got the
exactly.
Shirt. And then we're just diverse into that.
I bleed Prime. I bleed Prime.
That's it. I think Marvel, Star Wars, or comic Star Wars, they all, if you're into one, generally you're interested into the others, I reckon.
Yeah, like generally into everything.
Well, they're all Disney now as well, except Transformers. They haven't come across yet, but
give it time.
Marvel, Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you did prelude into like painting this stuff. Like how did you start wanting to do that? And then how did you decide, oh, I have the patience to do this? Because I mean, like I've done a couple back when I was younger, and it was okay. I mean, I still liked doing it, but it's just like I just didn't have the patience for it. And then all of a sudden something else came up. So like, how did you stick with it and all that?
Yeah. It's yet again, I think a lot of my hobbies are always on and off.
Aren't we all? Yeah. Especially being a father.
Before I moved here,
yeah.
Before I moved here, it was like I was getting right. Like I steered away from games and whatnot, and that's why from when I first found Twitch and stream, there was a big break because I went purely to the miniatures, and then I went on a ship that was unplanned and went away, so sort of didn't do my painting anymore, and then that's where I was playing that Transformers game in my spare time, and then I found a streamer playing it, and that's what really got me back or into streaming.
Yeah.
I'd done a couple of little ones before, but yeah, got me into doing that Transformers stuff. And then I got back onto the Strike Force game, and yeah, attention span just keeps shifting. But yeah, I found now, like, you know, I don't think they're that good, but then when you show people, they're like, that's pretty good. But it's like, yeah, I know it looks good, but you know, there's people that are just amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, people are, you know, in that top 5%.
Yeah.
I like the mindfulness of it. I think like, because some people go, what do you mean mindfulness? Like, that would stress me so much, because it's like this small and you're like looking at it. But sometimes just, you know, you can just put some tunes on. And I actually had a friend a few years ago who he had a big shed set up, and would go out there and just have a few beers on a Sunday, listen to some tunes and paint some minis.
Yeah.
I've never really got into the playing of it. Like, I have played the tabletop stuff, but yeah, it's more the painting I like. So I've got I'll have to bust them out one time and show you, but we went halves in the Star Wars Legion, and he got the 501st, and then I got the Separatists. So I've got all these droids.
Oh yeah.
And then before I got busy with work, I bought all these ones that someone was selling a bit cheaper, of all the Rebels, and then I got a lot of Hoth stuff. So I really like that snow Hoth scene. So I wanted to paint them all up in that ice scene, and then I've got some terrain stuff to make like just a big diorama.
Like a good, I could make it a good layout, pretty much.
Yeah, just like a little battle going on with the army. But I need the space for that.
Yeah, do you prefer like ones that are like harder to paint, or do you like the ones that are a little bit easier to get into the crevices and things like that? Like a challenge?
I actually bought this one for a challenge because I entered a couple of competitions, and it was like a 400 Australian dollar model.
Wow.
It's this big. It's in the Sylvaneth army of Warhammer. It's like fairy trees, sort of dryady stuff, and it's this Ever Queen. She's like on top of. So she's got like a robe, and then this big staff, and she's on top of this big beetle that's like black and purples and blues. And started making that, and yeah, some of them are very intricate with little broken pieces, but yeah, I'll have to bust them out one day. And
that'd be cool.
Time and room. I think time and room.
do you have a favorite like series? Like, do you prefer like Warhammer, Transformers, the Marvel, the painting of that? Like, is there one that you do like the most, or like is there one that you just kind of do what's available?
Yeah, I'll paint whatever. I think stuff that sort of like jumped out to me. So I like that sort of LV green stuff in the fantasy. But yeah, I've painted different models just because I thought the model was cool. And then I'll grab these ones real quick. Actually,
oh, you're good. I like to see them.
I even I found some Transformer ones that I did. They're hidden away. But have you got a favorite X-Man character?
I do like Gambit, like you were talking about earlier, and I also my favorite was a Nightcrawler. Ooh, see,
So there's
this
is actually a pretty cheap board game called Marvel United, and then they have the figures, and they came in like just a blue color. But I was like, I'm gonna paint these.
That's sick.
And yeah, they just sit on my shelves. I'm like, I should just do giveaways and just give them all away to people.
Man, you did a great job, though. I mean, like, I know you're like your worst critic, but I mean, like, you see the flaws because you're painting at the time. But when somebody looks at them and go like, oh, like, and like the whole package is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was I'd spent so long on this one, but yeah, the Cyclops one, I think I did a really good job on this.
Yeah. It'd be super hard to get rid of those. Like you were talking about giveaways, like that would be very hard.
Yeah, just a little.
Because how many hours?
On the belt, like...
Yeah, because I mean, like, how many hours do you put into one? Do you think?
Oh, yeah, it could be tough. So, I think for these ones, I tried to do a sort of a batch painting style. So, I tried to do like all the ones with the yellow, and then by the time you get to the end of the 5th miniature, the first one's dry, so then you can go back and do like the blue, so they don't bleed in and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think when you're bulk painting, like I think it's a lot easier that way. Like I started off with these trees that were basically just brown, but I was able to dry brush the highlights and the washes in the recess areas, and just learn the basics on something so simple, and then work into something with more colors. You know, when you take a photo, when you take a photo, you know, the camera shows the imperfections a lot more if you don't blend the colors properly. But in your hand, you know, they look pretty good. But
so you're kind of like the Bob Ross of painting figures, is what I call it.
I wouldn't say that. Sometimes when I have painted on stream, though, you know, you do throw out the classic Bob Ross catchphrases and stuff.
Oh yeah, you have to, because I think it's just more funny. And he's been around a while, so I mean, like, it's easy to find the
Someone's still streaming his stuff, and he's doing quite well.
yeah. I mean, he's been gone for quite a while, hasn't he? 15 years.
Yeah. And then when you like learn about his what he did beforehand, like being like was he a drill instructor in the Air Force or something? Like,
yeah, like him, and then like the same thing as like Mr. Rogers too. Like he was a Marine.
Yeah.
And he had tattoos all over. That's why he always had the long sleeve shirts. Like it was just like that's all these like, oh wow, just crazy. I would love to see a history of that.
Oh yeah, I think we can definitely relate from you sort of that initial military high pace. It's a lot different now than what it used to be, but you know, I think it does make you more grounded. You know, the way you go from being in that, you know, treating people, you know, a little bit shit basically.
Yeah.
You know, and then we work out later. Well, oh, actually, if we respect and value people, we get more out of them than just yelling at them.
Yeah, you're factual for sure. I do want to touch a little bit of this before we go to the military life, though. Like,
sure.
I did put the tag up there a little bit, and obviously we've done collections. We talked about Marvel, Transformers, a little bit of 80s pop culture. I only put like one question in there because I thought that we could elaborate a little bit more. But like, why does 80s pop culture stand out? And like, have you ever done like the trivia nights and all that kind of stuff? And like, what's your favorite part of that?
80s probably because so I was born in 83, so a lot of that stuff on TV was, you know, rerun and whatnot. You know, I remember Astro Boy, Voltron, the morning TV shows, cartoon specials.
Run to Saturday. The Saturday morning cartoons were the best until there wasn't a Saturday morning. You can just stream it all now, anytime you want.
Yeah, I think just that you know, that childhood, that nostalgia was really good. You know, like even now, you know, just what my childhood was compared to my kids. You know, you'd go from, you know, go to your friend's house, you know, after school, and like I had friends. There was these twin boys and this is probably why I'm in the Transformers thing, because so I had these friends, two twins. One had all the good Dino Riders, and one had all the bad Dino Riders. So you'd go there, and I'd play with them after school, and we would have all the Dino Riders out. We'd have the T-Rex, we'd have the Brontosaurus, you know, and it'd be like we got the best of both worlds. When I was in primary school, there was a friend, I went to his house. He had all the Thundercats, and he had the tank and everything. So I went over their houses, and like I would play with Dino Riders. One had all the Transformers, one had all the masks. I literally think I had a friend who from every different different
nice.
one.
Yeah.
I had a friend who had Voltron, like all the original Voltron ones. Yeah, and then Warhammer, and playing the video gaming as well. Like go and play the Sega Master System up the road. And then what my kids are exposed to now in their childhood, toys aren't really a big thing, because they've got these these games on their phones that we didn't even have on the Sega Master System or the Nintendo back then. We had Snake, and then we were like late teens, early 20s when we got our first phone.
It was like in the 80s. What was your favorite toy? I think the stick in the back of the yard. I think that's what my favorites. I played with the stick more than I did my everything else. It's just, what are you talking about? That's just hilarious. I would
digging
say
holes and climbing trees.
Oh yeah, because nowadays, like, and you would go and wake up Saturday morning to watch all your cartoons, Saved by the Bell, whatever. I'm sure maybe different cartoons there, maybe the similar, very same, whatever. And then if you missed it, you overslept or something had to go and you had to go with parents or do something, you get to school and then like, oh, I watched this. And you're like, you feel like you're an outsider because you didn't watch it live and you missed it. And you're not going to wait till the summertime for the replays, because that's when it happened majority of the time. So it's like, I have a little PTSD for cartoons, I think. Oh,
100%.
that's a bad transition, but we're going to transition into the military stuff with PTSD, I think.
Oh yeah, PTSD is a transition.
That's my transition to the military. Oh, but anyway, I'm still Air Force, and you're Navy. So, what made you decide to join the Navy, and have you been in that career field, being like a chef the whole time, or have you done other stuff as well?
Yeah, so I left school, went straight into it. 24 years. And I'm still like categorized as a chef, but at the moment I'm working in like a culture space, so doing like team building, training and whatnot. So I've been learning a lot in that space, which did some behavior courses and found out like my default style is like harmony and collaboration, which just shows why we like flourish in this sort of environment. Love to collaborate and meet people and whatnot. Still have a passion for cooking, but as you sort of go up in the ranks, it goes more from being on the tools to managing, and although I've been a cook in the Navy for 24 years and I've been in that one sort of organization, it's been so many different jobs, because I moved around it for a couple of years, and different platforms, different people. So
I was thinking the same thing, because I joined in '98, and when my first year, I think I joined as a bomb loader to put bombs on planes or whatever, be munitions or whatever. And then they dissolved that area in the place where I was at, because different planes were coming in. And then I joined services, which was the cooking, the mortuary, the fitness and rec, and all that kind of stuff. And basically was in the kitchen majority of the time. And then, like you said, like you move on to the ranks and you become like a unit training manager, or you become the manager of the kitchen. You don't really cook, but you just manage the folks. I totally understand that. And just last year, I finally left services and went into podcasting, because they want to innovate and get the word out and stuff like that. So it's been different and it's been weird. And I don't know about you, but like, and we'll go into a little bit more to this too, is like, there's so much noise, there's so much stress to get this out, to do this, to make this, to have this out, timelines. And then you start getting into the position you're at now, and it's quieter. Like, does it bother you at all that it's quieter, or is it more peaceful that it's quieter because you're just so used to it?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's a bit of both. I think you know, you'll be able to relate to this, like as a cook, as a chef. You know, we're used to every day, you know, you got 3 to 4 timelines like that you will achieve something. So, you know, you can't put Tuesday lunch on Wednesday because it's already Wednesday lunch, you know. So you've always got to meet these time frames, and you get used to, you know, you're achieving so much each day. You know, yes, you might be a little bit late, something might have went wrong with a dish, but you know, end of the day, people don't see all that stuff that's in the background to make it work. And then you go outside, you go into like higher level project stuff where you could be in 800 meetings in the space of 2 months and nothing eventuates. So you're now used to performing, you know, succeeding, you know, meeting your goals daily, like 4 times daily.
Oh yeah.
To now like doing all this work and may or may not achieve an end result, which can be frustrating.
Yeah.
But also, you know, you think that you're going to enjoy that down period, but then you find in the nature of, you know, being always working at that higher tempo, you now crave it, and it's hard to, you know, relax. And then you find out, you know, especially later in life when you start going through the mental health challenges, you find out, you know, you can reflect back and see why you're burnt out.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sort of, you know, navigate that space sometimes.
I think in the instance that you're talking about, like it's a good relatable for streaming, because you get that finally burnout and that feeling, and people get that in streaming. They don't know how to handle it, but like folks like me and you that have gone through that and have burned out through that, now you're getting to streaming, and now it's like, oh yeah, I know a burnout. I can recognize it before I hit there, and I take my time and do that. It's I think it's a great I don't know, training, great like experience to get going through that. I think that's what it is. What I do want to talk about a few things, because I mean, obviously difference between me deploying and cooking and being on land and all that kind of time, and you going to like on ships and things like that. How do you prep for that? When you were on ships, did you have to worry about like the ordering and how much it had to be on the ship and where to store it and all that kind of stuff? Or were you at that time just that was already done and you just grabbed what you needed to and followed what you needed to make?
Yeah, so throughout the history, I've been from the guy who just gets it and cooks to the person who's in charge of it, to the person who is, you know, the head chef on the ship. So if something doesn't work out, and then you know, deploying during COVID was its own challenges as well. When you know you could pull into port and you could store, but it was, you know, contactless, and then you wouldn't go and be able to enjoy the few days off that you get, that you've been used to. And then one of the hardest things is, you know, for me, it's like, oh, I've been to this place before, so, you know, I'm not too upset. But then you got the people that it's their first time away. Generally, people join the military to travel, especially the Navy, and the fact that they can't do that, it's a big draw card that they don't get. So yeah, a lot of challenges there. But in the cooking sense, the first one is, depending on what class of ship you're on, the movement.
Oh yeah.
So
for sure,
you know, I had some people and I'd be seasick, and they're like, oh, you know, you need to come and stir a pot, and I'd go in there and they'll like, you'd be making bolognese sauce, and they'll start to stir the mince, and then the smell with parts of the ship moving, and they're like, don't normally get sick, and they're like, oh my goodness, how do you do that? It's like, yeah, the smells and stuff. But
and did you have to, like, when you do that, do you have to like strap things down as you cook so that it doesn't slide off and things like that too?
So everything's already, you know, systematically prepared for that. So all our storage spaces and whatnot, you know, so where they go and get their plates at the mess. So our ones just have a lockable lid on top, and they're on a spring load. They're already on the spring loaded in the mess as well. So it's the same thing. It's just got a lid, so they'll hit the top and won't go up. But, you know, if it's really, really rough, you might put like some tea towels in there or whatever, just to cushion it. But yeah, generally it's designed to withstand that. Yeah. Some of, you know, just another thing for yourself, but they're kind of the mounts that all the equipment's on. There's a little bit of, like, I guess, not like a spring, but there's stuff in there for shock. So if it doesn't, when you ride a wave and you smash down, there's just a little bit of, absorption there.
Yeah.
Certain sea states where you wouldn't use the deep fryer because hot oil and whatnot.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's already designed, the fuel limits for that, but yeah, it's just in the extreme weather. It's just the little other things you got to think about.
Yeah.
Our storage, all our dry stores are, packed in and secured with these pogo poles. There's a lot of these spring-loaded poles that lock it all in.
Yeah. And then do you
same with the fridges?
Like, how long are you usually from like port to port? Is it like a week, couple weeks, a month?
Yeah. So it all differs. For for the long deployments, like in the Gulf War, we could stay out for months and months with resupply. But yeah, obviously, can't get into limitations and whatnot. But
I think that what I'm leaning toward is like when you're out there for so long, like how do you plan for like A rations for like your fruits, vegetables, and things like that? Like some of them are in can, of course, but like how does you're not gonna order like 17 pallets of bananas and then like 2 weeks later they're all shit. Like how do you prepare for that? I guess where I'm leaning toward.
Yeah. So your biggest one is obviously your dairy and your fresh veggies and where you get it from. The stuff, the produce in Australia is pretty good, so it lasts quite a while. You try and use up your more leafy stuff first before and your root vegetables last a bit longer. Some of the frozen products you can get these days is pretty good. So it's just balancing that. The biggest challenge, I think, is the diners. So the first few days away, people don't have to cook their own meals, and they're very thankful and everything that they get. But it sort of gets old when you sort of every day is the same, and the only thing that sort of changes is what's on for the meals. So it does become that challenge that some people can be a little bit entitled and whatnot, because you put on a variety, you put on 4 choices, but with waste management, you don't want to have leftovers. So, that popular choice may go. So, you might have a hamburger on for lunch. And someone misses out on it, or they hear about it because they're still on shift and they haven't been relieved yet. And they're like, everyone's like, oh, the hamburger's so good. The chicken satay is real good. By the time they get down there, they've worked themselves up to that's what they're going to have, and it's not available. So they're now looking forward to it. Or they smell it during the day. They go, oh, that smells so good. I can't wait to get that. And then by the time they get there, they're like, oh.
Yeah, your progressive cooking and balancing. Yeah, that's always a challenge, especially with all the forms you fill out with temp checks and all. Yeah, it's just I can't imagine. I can't imagine because I've done it, but I mean, I can't imagine having to do that on a ship. And then I'm sure there's an inventory specialist that checks to make sure that no one's got into their inventory when, off times and things like that. So I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
So and you were talking about doing the Gulf War. Explain to me that one, because I guess there was Desert Shield, Desert Storm, all that kind of stuff that we were a part of, when I was in, but that was a different situation. How did the second Gulf War, you being in it, how did that go about with your experience?
Yeah, I think what people do on the land versus the sea. I think we were in more of a luckier situation. There wasn't a lot of action for the vessels. There was some there was some bad stuff that we were exposed to, with the USS Cole, I believe.
Yeah.
And whatnot. But it was just you sort of know that time it was a bit different. But I think for myself it was just just another day doing the job. I wasn't
ain't that
exposed to a lot of that. I think just I know I was doing a lot of the night shift, and working around the American aircraft carriers, because we don't have them, like seeing the planes take off and whatnot from afar, and being a big fan of the Top Gun movie, it was like,
fair enough,
able
yeah.
to sort of be exposed to that was pretty cool.
And you guys were
And
more
then, yeah,
a
working with-
lot of joint forces too, right? It wasn't just
Hello there.
it wasn't just Australian forces. It was everybody that was on the ship, right?
Yeah. There was there was British, French. Yeah, there was heaps of different opportunities. So, yeah, lots of people went on to different ships. I was lucky to go on the Nimitz. It was crazy because
Yeah,
it's like 5,500 people, and we hear all these stories that these aircraft carriers have McDonald's on them, and someone's job is just to go around and change out all the soft drink machines, and
yeah.
you hear all these fables, and it's like go on there and go, no, I wasn't exposed to that, wasn't exposed to this.
No, like there was like I always remember the conversations where people had never been deployed or like never been in the military, but then they see like South Park and they have like Ferris wheels, like when they're deployed in like all these places. I'm like, no, that's not true. Like they make that shit up. Like just make it look better than what it was. Knowing that, like the food when you're out there and you're doing all that kind of stuff. I've done exercises, I've been deployed and stuff like that. Food being the morale of the time.
Yeah.
Was there something that stood out to you that you've done to help build a morale for a specific person while you were like cooking and doing everything? Do you remember a situation where like you knew that if you did it like this, it would work out for somebody that would make them happier?
Yeah. There's always there's been so many. It's always hard because it's like one thing's always been like birthdays. People are like, oh, you want a birthday cake for someone? It's like, it gets a bit difficult. But most ships I've been on is like, we'd do like a monthly birthday cake that would cover everyone. And I'm like, if anyone wants an individual one, as long as someone comes in and puts the help in, like, so it's not just us doing it all the time. Like,
exactly.
We'll help you out. So because I also understand that sometimes cooking is people's hobbies and their mindfulness activity and whatnot. So the fact that they lose the opportunity to do that, it's a way that I was like, these are the times you can come in and work with, the chef that was on at night doing the prep. You can come in and make a cake supervised or whatnot, or
that's cool.
You can peel some carrots and they'll make the cake if you've got no cooking experience. Just to help out or whatever. I guess sometimes we do like different themes and stuff like that. So you get people in coming to help out, and you do like a pizza night or something like that to try and mix it up a bit.
That's cool.
It's been people who it's their last night at sea. They've been in for 20 years. You make them a special meal, or something I've done is sometimes our chefs want to do something a bit fancier, so you'd get the captain to invite a couple of the sailors up to have dinner with them, and you'd give them a bit of a special meal.
Those are like the VIP meals, or like the protocols where you have the forks in the right spots, and depending on who comes to the ships and things like that.
You'd have those as well, but for these other ones it was just like because people think some of the officers are like they're so important. At the end of the day, we're all just people, so it's like going up and just having a yarn, and it's a good way for obviously commanders to see what's happening, what's actually happening, having a feed, and get to pick up on that stuff. So
what was your favorite? I guess what was your favorite thing to cook while? I mean, it could be ship or it could be stateside or whatever. Whatever at home or whatever. What was your favorite thing to always put somebody's smile on their face or whatever, like, or something that you love to make?
For me, it's always been there'll be like with my hobbies, they always change. So it's like I might find a dish that I haven't cooked before, and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to work on this one. So it might be a pad thai, so I'll start off at home, or just with a few people who are on like duty, and then you work to making it for like most of the crew, using all the fresh ingredients, making it all lovely. And then the last part of the challenge for me is trying to make it when you've been 2 weeks out and you don't really have all the right ingredients. You're using stuff like, I remember not having any herbs or anything, and one of the chefs, one of the cooks was like, how do you get the spring onions on top, like the shallots, and I'm like, oh, I was like, literally, the onions have been down there, they've started to sprout, and I just use that as the garnish on the top.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Because they're like, where did it come from? I'm like, you know.
I remember.
You got to get creative with, like, you know, your you know, you're finding what vegetables, you know, crisp up in the, like, we used to get a sweet potato, and you would peel it, and then you would cook it in the fryer, so it'll be all crispy, and then that would be your presentation on top.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting creative, and same with, like, yeah, onions and leek, you know, frying it up, and just yeah, finding ways to challenge yourself when you don't have the easy, pretty herbs and whatnot.
Yeah. Is there did you find yourself, and maybe it's just me, but when you cook so often when you're gone for deployments or when you're gone for drills or whatever, and do you come home and want to still do it at home, or do you like, I've done this like so much that I don't want to do it at home, or do you like doing it at
Yeah,
home?
I think the fact that I don't cook at work a lot now, I think is good at home. But yeah, when it's busy, like, you know, we've just had a run where we've probably you know, had more pre-cooked meals and takeaway and whatnot this week because we've all been really busy. But
Right.
my daughter's had a bit of a passion in cooking, and she's taken up an interest. So being able to help her out
Yeah.
with that's been great. But yeah, I still enjoy cooking. But the thing is, a lot of my family don't like the same things that I like. So it's like, you know, I want to cook something, you know, like Thai, spicy, and they're like, they don't want that. So
Yeah.
it's like sometimes, you know, when you want to cook what you want to cook, but then you almost got to cook 4 meals at some point.
Yeah. And how many kids do you got again?
I got 2 kids, so,
So you got
yeah,
two- yeah,
16 and 14.
So you got 2 kids and wife and you. And when you cook, I still do this to this day, and mine are 9. Do you when you used to put the food on the plate for your kids when they were younger, or you still do now, it doesn't matter. Do you still kind of position it so it looks good?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I can't get that out of my head. I can't, because I'm putting stuff on there. They're like, why do you have like the salad over on this thing, and then this over here, and this over here? It's like, I still the presentation still has to be good. I'm not even my 9-year-olds don't even care. They're like, just eat it.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even recognize that it made this into something pretty nice or whatever.
Yeah, it was funny because yeah, my daughter's like done more cooking than what I did at that age, and so we got I was pretty busy. I was like, I want to teach her how to cook, but I also don't have time to, you know, go to the shop, get all ingredients. So we started off with HelloFresh, so we got it all delivered, and then I could just help her with the basics because I had the recipe card, and I could,
Yeah.
you know, it was already there for her. And yeah, she would do the HelloFresh meals, and then she would take photos, and then she would do like a little TikTok of her meals with a song in the background, and yeah, then I'd like help her with the presentation and a few little tips and tricks. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
she was knocking out some amazing stuff.
Yeah, I don't think.
And then my wife would also say, like, oh, we don't really go out for, you know, breakfast at a cafe and stuff like that. It's like, well, so I make the stuff that's just as good, you know. You because like you said, you present it, you know, like a club sandwich or something, and you know, do the breakfast. Always make it look nice.
Yeah. Like I don't feel like I have the passion at home, but I definitely still have the passion when I have the time to do it. Like you were talking.
Yeah.
Like if you have the time and like, oh yeah, I have like an hour and a half and I have this stuff at the house. Yeah, I want to make up something really cool. But if you have like 30 minutes, like what's your quick best meal you can make?
I think steak and veg is pretty quick, I think.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, just
Good flat top or on a grill?
Yeah, flat top. Yeah. So yeah, I think at work I love when we got the big char grill and stuff, and you miss that. But yeah, just in a pan.
I mean, a good pan
mushrooms,
though,
mashed potato.
I was just I mean, a good flat top with some butter and like just slowly sear it up. Oh, yeah. I could do that every day for sure. I feel like we're gonna have to cut for YouTube here in a little bit, so I want to get a couple final thoughts, and then do our lightning round, and then for everybody that's here live, that's just lurking, just having a good time, just listening, We'll have a little bit for you because I've skipped a few questions. I kind of want to go back. But okay, so a couple final thought I want to do before we get in the lightning round. So looking back at the journey in streaming, collecting, and military, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone pursuing any of those passions that want to start doing something? You can pick one or all three or however you want to do it. I mean, we did kind of start with streaming a little bit, how to get started, but
yeah, I think the military, no matter what country you're in, do your research. I think there's a lot of options. I know for the Australian one, we've got the gap year program where basically you do basic training and you get a year just to look around what's happening before you commit. I think there can be a lot of stuff said that is can be interpreted differently. Like, oh, once you do this, you can change over to this, but the likelihood of that occurring could be different based on the situation. So although it's not it's not untrue, it can be you can understand it differently. So I'd look at those sort of things. In terms of starting to stream, find something you enjoy. Try and be consistent at a time, which is all advice. I think we give better advice than what we take. I know I'm definitely not consistent, but I think that's probably important, especially if you've got the same people coming back. But then when you're not consistent, you meet other people, so it's an unusual balance. In terms of collecting stuff that you enjoy, I think find out what your budget is. I'm actually pretty lucky. My wife's pretty supportive. She'll I'll talk myself out of it because I'm like, I don't want to spend that much money, and then she'll go, no, you deserve it, go do it. So I think especially if it's a later in life midlife crisis sort of collecting, work with your
I literally just had
budget
that, and I'll ask you the question. I literally just had that midlife like toy thing, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But what was the most expensive thing you bought toy wise that you didn't want to buy but you ended up buying anyway?
I think it was my Soundwave helmet. It's a few $100s. I wear it every now and then. But, it's
That's awesome.
That's probably.
I'll have to remember that the next time you're streaming, actually, that you go grab it so I can see it. Like I said, I was going to tell you, it's like, so to make a super long story as short as possible. When I was a kid, I was a Voltron fan, and they had the big version where you can like get it really huge, like all 5 lions and put them together, and then they have Voltron or whatever. Or you can get the mini one where it's like maybe this big when you put it all together. And I had the mini one, and to this day I have no idea where all our toys went, because I have all my Yoda stuff, but I don't know where all the other cool stuff happened, all my He-Man characters, all that stuff. And I had the little one, and I always was, like, when I was younger, jealous as shit when somebody had that big one. And the other day, it was probably maybe a month ago, slightly after Christmas or something like that, the Target had all 5. And I looked at them, and they were like probably $30 per lion. And the black lion was probably $50 because it's bigger and whatnot. And I looked at it and I was like, I want that. Don't want to spend that much money. And I think 3 days later, I came to the conclusion. I was like, okay, if I walk into that store and all 5 of them are still there, I'm gonna buy it, because there was only one set of all 5. Like, it was, if someone walked in, they're gonna buy all 5. They walk out. They're not gonna buy like one color and leave it. Screw somebody else, because I'm not gonna buy all 5 if I don't have all 5. Kind of thing. And I walked in, they were there, and I spent the money, and I'm like, I still regret it, but every time I walk by it, it makes me giddy, it makes me happy, and I was like, I don't regret it anymore, and like, it was a lot of money, and I still kick myself for spending that much money, but it's what makes you happy.
I think just on that one, I think I've looked at stuff when they've been out in the store or they've just come out, and I've amened and I've gone, I can't justify spending that money. And then, then you go, oh, you know what? Stuff it, I'll do it. And then, the resale on it on eBay or whatever is like stupid. So I think, and it's reinforced what you just said. I think, that impulse, I think, if you're like, I really want it, I think go for it. Because yeah, the regret afterwards if you missed out. Like if you went back and although you were lucky and they were there, but if you went back and they weren't all there or one was missing, you would have been like, oh,
I would have,
because the fact that you said you're going back there, you're already committed that you were getting it.
Yeah.
And then if you couldn't then do it, you probably would have been pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
Now you're disappointed you spent the money, but then you would have been disappointed that you didn't get it.
It's always going to be. You might as well.
You're always going to feel. You're always going to feel selfish and justified, but everyone justifies happiness. Someone there could be other people who would look at all the stuff we spent money on and go, why have you wasted your money on that stuff? But everyone's on their own journey, and my grandkids might they might revamp all this stuff again. There's a new He-Man movie coming out. Everything from the 80s is
new again,
just gets redone and moves on. And I almost bought, because I started watching with my daughter, she was watching the new Voltron series, so I almost bought I almost bought those ones. And I don't know if they're the ones you got the Voltron of. Like, they're nice and sleek, and the new She-Ra, we watched that together. I
like that one too. That was good. Yep.
Yeah. And then educating her on the connection with She-Ra and He-Man.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and I think I don't know. I think she's going to be in that new movie, but we won't see.
Yeah, I think what's really cool is that like hearing the old school stuff. Like, I heard there was a Voltron movie being made, and I'm like, there's no way they're making that. And then I look it up and like, yeah, they're gonna make something like that. I'm like, and the He-Man one, like I could go down the rabbit hole on that one for a while. With the new He-Man movie and all, like, oh yeah. Anyway, okay, so let's do that offline from the recording. One final question before we get in lightning round. Being a cook, which would there be one character from Transformers, Marvel, Warhammer, or any other a fan of cartoon or whatever that you would serve dinner and have dinner with? I know.
I think
I love these questions.
I'm gonna say Optimus Prime, but the voice behind Optimus Prime, to Peter Cullen. If anyone that doesn't know, you're an amazing voice actor. You haven't dinner. You're serving dinner to Eeyore.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, just and I'm pretty sure his brother was a Marine or something like that. And when he went in for the audition for Optimus Prime, I think he rang his brother and asked him about like what would a good military leader be, and what his response was like, he gave these attributes. I can't remember exactly what, I don't want to ruin it, but he gave him these attributes. So when he went in and did went in for the audition and did the line, he had his brother's voice in his head saying these things. So just listening to stuff like that would go, that would be an interesting while you're preparing, talking to this person, having dinner and getting to learn about their story, because just voice acting, I would say it's going to be more challenging than the visuals, because you've got to portray that with that, you got to work with an artist to make sure that it matches what you're doing. Like if they're if they're, even though it's a robot, but if it's like their emotions, you got to connect the right emotions to the physical ones and whatnot. So the amount of understanding and reflecting that person would have in their life to bring that out in the character's voices. I always thought that, like, when they do the behind the scenes of people like sit behind a mic and they watch the show and they kind of like interact their voice with it to make sure it matches, is cool. But like when they did the behind the scenes of like God of War, the video game, and they did all the voice acting, they're like, oh, we didn't just do voice acting, we had to like have the dots on our face and we had to act it out and do all that kind of stuff. I'm like that it's insane where things are going. It's crazy. I remember when I first heard the I'm gonna wrap another rabbit hole. But when I first heard the voice of the God of War, I haven't played a lot of the games, but when my friend was playing it, I was like, "That's Tilk."
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
that's exactly what I heard the first
They're
time.
like, "Who?" And I'm like, You don't know? You ever went to Stargate?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a huge like an hour and a half of like I wouldn't say behind the scenes of like Cory Bartlog, the one who created God of War, and him and all the like motion capture of that. It's just really cool. Like, yeah, I think it's called Being Kratos or something. It's really cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's hit that a little bit. Let's do a lightning round. Some of these I used to do like easy stuff like cat dog, all that kind of stuff, like
Sure.
whatever. But I've tried to put a little bit more of a spin on these and make them a little bit more thought provoking. So try to answer them fastly, but if you want to elaborate, you can.
Sure.
And these, for those that have never seen the interviews, or whatever, these has never been seen. These are what I keep to myself to make it a little bit interesting and make it a little bit more fun. And the rest of them you've seen. So here's a few, and I won't do them all because I did put all the just in case we had a lot of time. But I'll ask them a little bit later on our live after the video. But okay, so if you could permanently master one hobby, would it be model, painting, or cooking?
Painting.
Painting. If you could only keep one action figure from your collection, which one would it be and why?
Ooh, I haven't opened it yet, but I'd say the Optimus Prime, because he's like the figurehead. So I always wanted one as a kid. I finally got the one that's modeled after the movie.
Yeah.
And he's still right.
Ooh,
There.
that is the old school
In that
86.
box.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about it later, but they've actually got these little blaster things. But instead of just for the guns, his one is under the front of the truck. So when it's in truck form, it's like getting pushed up, and it's got these orange flames. I'll show you later.
Oh,
Anyway.
I would love that. I would love that. Oh my gosh, I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole for all that stuff for sure. Okay. What's the one meal that can instantly transport you back to a specific memory?
Ooh, just like a classic, like Sunday roast beef.
What's
Childhood,
what's the lovely memory that goes with it?
Just the roast pumpkin, potatoes, peas, cauliflower, like au gratin, and then in the Navy that would be. I used to love doing the Sunday roasts, because it was just like, I think that was the first meal like I probably helped my mum make, and it's just that memory. I can always see it plated up like we played up to our kids now. I can always see it plated up in the same way.
I'm the same way. Speaking of memories, most memorable memory, would it be your first major stream milestone or your first military milestone?
Yeah, it'd be a military one. Probably like when I got my first not medal, but like individual like commendation from a captain from like my work I've done. Like always done really good work, but when it was actually acknowledged and you didn't know it was coming and whatnot, I think that felt really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like those. Do you guys, and I'm sure this is a military thing, not just for Americans, but Australians too. Like, do you guys do coined? Like, do you get coined?
Yeah, there's coins. Yeah, I've got a few coins.
Yeah, I remember being deployed one time, and right at the end of the deployment, like you see all these people that are leaving, getting coined, and like I'm about to like get on a plane or whatever, and I was like kind of like in my head, kind of like, man, I thought I did a really good job this year, like while I was on deployment, was here for like 6-7 months, give or take, and was like, all this kind of stuff that I did, and right before I got on the plane, there was 3 commanders on the plane. And they all 3 coined me as I was like sitting there. Like we were loading the plane and all 3 of them were standing there. And I was like, oh, they're just saying goodbye to everybody. And they're like, no, we wanted to make sure that you get this. And that memory always stuck in my head because we did karaoke, we did movie nights, we did all that kind of stuff. I ran a flight kitchen and nothing happened. And they're just fucking with me the whole freaking time. It was so
Yeah.
like everybody was getting all these stuff, and they're like, "Oh, cool!" Like my troops were getting coin all this time, and like it wasn't me, and like I'm okay with it because I was in charge. But then like yeah, they made this whole big deal. I always remember that. Like that's why I like that came to my head for something. I got 2 more, and then we'll cut the YouTube channel, and then the cut, and then we'll come back to a little bit more. If you could have an army of mini Transformers help you with one daily task, what would it be?
I think like just the basic tasks, like when you like if you go on grocery shopping. Sorry, my dogs are going nuts.
No, you're right.
Like going grocery shopping or like bringing your bags to work, and you've just got all these like an entourage of bots just like doing your work, just like it's just
That'd be awesome. Like you're just walking in front of all of them, and then there's like 7 or 8 of them behind you, just holding bags. That'd be great. I would love a pic. Now I want an AI photo of that. That'd be awesome.
Or the other one would be like you invite someone around to your house, and they all sit down. But the seats they're sitting on are the Transformers, and then they jump up.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
it all awkward.
I love it. And the last one I have for the YouTube channel, we'll come back with a few other ones for the live people. And this one's the throwback to Australia. We talked about spiders earlier. If a huntsman spider appeared on your PC monitor midstream, what would be your plan?
I don't know about plan, but the reaction will be this.
Get the fuck out.
Be like mad jump scare.
I would be like frozen for a while. I'd be like, okay, now how do I remove this thing so I can continue streaming without shitting my pants?
It's like if you go, because we've had them, like you go into the bathroom, and if you look on the wall, it's like a meter away from you, or 4 feet, whatever equivalent is, and then you know, you just like get scared.
Like, no, thank you.
And as the man of the house, you're always have to go like relocate them or exterminate them.
Yeah.
And you're trying to be all tough when you're not.
Yeah, I'll tell you a stupid story before we sign off for the YouTube channel. But like, I remember I was living at my wife's parents' house at the time, and we weren't married or whatever. But I remember being downstairs in their basement one time, and I thought I felt something like slither across my foot, and I freaked the fuck out, and I like ran from upstairs, and they're like, what happened, whatever. And I had like a sword collection, like, you know, like I was a Ninja Turtle fan, so I had like a katana, I had a sai, I had nunchucks, you know, a bow, whatever like that. And I grabbed that fucking katana, and I was going downstairs with every light I could to find that goddamn snake to chop that shit up. And when I look back at it, I was like, I was brave enough to go down there with something. And nowadays I'd be like, I'll come back tomorrow. Like, get out of this house. Like, no, thank you. I always try to base my questions on like stories that, you know, like, you know, what I do and those same things. So yeah, that'd be cool. But before we leave for the YouTube channel, seriously, Walt, thank you so much for being here. It's been an honor. I do this every single month, and I look forward to it because I get to learn more, not just about you, but like the stories you tell, and then like I don't know too many people in the Navy, so I get to learn about that. And you could tell that I'm intrigued because I'm sitting here just like this, like just listening, because I love the stories and I love listening to other people tell, you know, their life story. But before we sign off, tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing now, what you're doing next, anything that you're planning on doing in the future. We talked about podcasting, but I mean, like, anything else that you want to hit before we sign off for people to find us?
Yeah, sure. So all my social medias are just Waltmillsy. And at the moment, yeah, a lot of Marvel Strike Force content, but yeah, there was a Transformer game coming out, but it got sort of cancelled. So my future plans for that are on hold. But yeah, hopefully something good comes one day. I do want to get back into my painting on stream and whatnot. But yeah, this has been really awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Before we wrap this up, I actually got a question for you.
Okay.
I know you love your Star Wars. I know you love Thundercats and whatnot.
Yeah.
If you had your choice between like one of the really expensive lightsabers or Lino's sword and gauntlet, if you could only have one, which one would it be?
See, I know what my first initial answer would be. So Disney's working on a brand new lightsaber that they're bringing out that you can actually hit the button and it actually comes out lit and then it comes back in lit. I don't know if that'll ever be like nationwide or if that's something that's just a theory that they just show on TV or whatever like that. If they had something like that, I probably would buy that because I think that's really cool. Like it's kind of really close. But if you're giving me the claw, like the glove and like the little sword of omens that's little, and then having the big one, I would definitely do that because that comes with the package and all that kind of stuff. It'd be really cool to have that one. But I would definitely pick the gauntlet and then sword of omens. I would love. I've been looking for a metal one that would sit on a rack with the eye that would be there just to sit back and that, and every now and then have like the sound of like trouble go off. That'd be so cool. And like dun-dun-dun, like oh shit, like or if somebody enters the door of the studio or something like that, that's the sound that goes off and it lights up. It'd be super cool. But yeah, that's a good question.
We've been going off topic all the time, so one more. I did see something the other day. It was funny. It was like when you realize that the signal for the Thundercats is actually like a laser pointer, like attracting cats. Like, I was like,
yeah,
we never pick up on this.
You can't unsee it. That's all you see is like, ooh, light. Yeah, for sure. I will make sure that I put all the links. If you've seen them all in the YouTube channel, all the links are below. Go follow Walt. He's on Twitch. He is going for partner. He's hitting the numbers. It'll be awesome to see that check mark on his channel. So if you haven't followed him, go over and follow him. Like I said, for the people that are live, he's live now. So if you haven't followed, go follow him there. And if there's anything else we talk about, because usually when we get off within like a week, I'd say, hey, what other links we should put in the description? We'll add those as well. So I appreciate it for the YouTube channel. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We will see you later.